My name's GuyKesTV, and for the past 23 years I've been a professional road and mountain bike tester, and today I'm outside Prologue Performance Cycling in Harrogate, which is where SRAM are going to be based in September this year, along with some other friends who you might recognise from the internet. I can't tell you more about that now. But the reason I'm here and the reason I'm mentioning SRAM is because for the past 4 months I've been lucky enough to be riding around on SRAM's new Red eTap AXS group set. So this is going to be a quick lap around the high points of the Harrogate World Championship course on this giant Defy, fully equipped with full suite of SRAM road goodness, with me talking about it. So I've already been lucky enough to ride SRAM's Eagle AXS group, which uses the same protocols in terms of communication and can actually be mixed and matched with the road group, but more on that later. But the Red group set is a far more radical rethink of all the numbers you normally think about with gearing. So starting at the front, you've got a brand new set of pairings in terms of chain rings. You've got 50, you've got 50-37, you've got 48-35, and you've got 46-33. So 13 tooth jump between all of them, but all of them slightly downsized on what you'd be used to from conventional size chain rings. Because one of the big mechanical differences with the Red AXS is it's now a 12-speed block. And it's not just a case of dropping another cassette somewhere in the middle. What gives AXS this totally new gear range is the fact that they've taken the 10 tooth that they introduced on Eagle and they've slotted it in at the top end of the road block. So instantly you've got a much wider range of gears. 1025 gives you 250%. 1028 gives you 280%, and if you're getting the hang of the maths, 1033 gives you a 330% gear range. And compared to Shimano, an 1125 gives you 227%, 1128 gives you 255%, and 1132 gives you 291%. And it's not just that larger overall gear range that stands out either. You've also got far more sequential, so one tooth step changes in the block. On the 1025 and the 1028, the bottom 7 cogs are only a tooth apart. And even on that 1033, the bottom 5 sprockets are still only a tooth apart. And again, comparing that to Shimano, 1125, you've got 5 sequentials on that, 1128, 4, 1132, only 3 of the sprockets have a 1 tooth jump between them. So if you're on a section like this, gradually changing gradients, you're trying to keep that cadence smooth, short of going for a old school junior time trialist straight through block, you're not going to get a closer matched set of gears. Because even though Campag's 12 speed, they've sat the extra cog in the centre, so it's less gappy, but you haven't got that overall gear range. And that's meant SRAM have had to jump through some real mechanical hoops. They've taken the XD driver that they're already using on the mountain bike group sets, which does away with the lock ring. The whole thing just screws straight on. Created XDR, which is pretty much the same thing. And they are actually cross-compatible with a small spacer. That's readily available on, unsurprisingly, Zip, but also a lot of other wheel sets already. And it's an open source design, so anyone who wants to throw a hub together with an XDR compatible free hub, happy days. So there's no obstacle to getting on AXS there. Right, best concentrate. It's coming to Beckle Shore. This is where the route starts getting a little bit tasty. And SRAM have also used the Power Dome technology, again introduced on mountain bike. The bottom 10 sprockets are all machined in one block, and then the top 2 are machined in a separate block, and then they're all pinned together, which actually makes the whole block lighter than an equivalent 11-speed block from Sham or Shimano. 280 grams for the 12-speed block, 285 I think for SRAM 11-speed in 1125, and 293 for Dura-Race in an 1125. So as well as losing a bit of weight up front of the chain rings, you're also losing, well, I mean, it's not going to make much of a difference on the climb, but know, fitting an extra cog in there without getting heavier. Pretty impressive. We're on the really fun parts of the course. Obviously it's not closed road tonight, so can't go too crazy, but now that we've resurfaced it, this is a lovely piece of descent. Get those dips over. Then you've got a little punchy climb. There's loads of these. Well, certainly several on the World Champs course. And they nearly always come after a tight corner or a little feature like that where you're going to lose a bit of speed. So you have that little drive and then it settles into more open. As well as the cassette, SRAM have completely reworked the chain. If you've seen one static, then you'll know the top of the chain now is completely flat, which looks gorgeous. It's one of those, why has nobody thought of doing that before things? And they've made it slightly deeper like that to keep the strength up while making it narrower. So even though sprockets are more closely spaced, there's actually more of a gap between the chain and the sprockets. So there's less chance of rub, less chance of misshifting, and the whole system just runs clearer and quieter. I mean, SRAM Red was never really noisy or had any issues, but jumping between the two sets, got a couple of mates running SRAM Red long term, it is just fractionally quieter. And the motor's a little bit more powerful, signal transfer's a little bit quicker, and it's got a new orbit hydraulic clutch. It's more of a damper than a clutch. Clutch is what they use on their mountain bike and current 1x group sets. It's more of a friction based device to stop the rear mech pulling forwards when you bounce over the bike over something, keep the chain steady. This is kind of like, I guess it's like the fluid motors you get in a turbo trainer, where the bigger the force you push through the fluid, the more damping resistance there is. So it's a little bit more subtle than a friction clutch. And even when I've taken this Defiant, properly hammered it on gravel courses, even when I've blown both bottles out of the cages, not a twitch, not a flutter from the rear mech. Everything's been totally solid. And that chain is also made from a new hard chrome, they call it, surface treated materials. SRAM say it's the strongest they've ever produced. The rear mech gets oversized jockey wheels running on ceramic bearings, so minimal resistance there. I mean, 4 months isn't really time to start shouting about longevity, even though I've used it in all conditions. But SRAM's claims are to be believed. The whole system is a lot more longer lived than previous SRAM Red. The only issue to talk about there is that both chain rings are now machined from the same piece of metal, which is, I mean, it's a beautiful sculptural piece of machining, and it looks gorgeous. It feels super stiff, and they slide onto a spline on the axle in the same way that SRAM mountain bike chain sets do. But obviously, if you wear one chain ring out, you're going to have to replace both of them, and that's not cheap. Another checky section coming up. This is such a good fun course to ride. I just hope, oh no, these are never green. Never green. Oh, well, kind of green. Still have to just lose a load more speed, but they're reckoning they're going to need barrier netting over that bridge there and the previous one, because they can't trust the juniors to come down there sensibly in a pack. So they're going to actually put barrier netting and catch netting over that bridge parapet, so they don't go all the way into the river on the far side. And as you can see, shifting is really, really good, quick and clean, even under power. This is one of the more sturdy little sections of the course, and again, you've wiped out a bit of speed around that corner, and then you've got this pull up here. But that also reinforces the fact that this new chain set setup, seriously stiff. Not always a strong point of SRAM previously, but the combination of the carbon arms, one piece chain rings, and the new oversized dub axles really gives this a firm foot plant when you're grinding out the watts rather than spinning. And that dub system is designed to be universal too, so whatever bottom bracket type you've got, press fit,
threaded, skinny, fat, 30mm, whatever. You can get a dub bottom bracket that's compatible with it. The only thing it isn't compatible with is other people's 30mm setups, because it's actually fractionally undersized, which, bit of a pain in the arse, but there you go, SRAM's decision. And having used the dub bottom brackets now for a year off-road on mountain bikes, no complaints on durability there, even in press fit setups. And while I'm talking about cranks and chain rings, as we pull back up to the top of the course, as well as 3 different double setups, you've also got built-in power meter options based on the Quark D0, so very, very well proven, very accurate, very easy to use. Power crank setup, it's now integrated a little better as well, kind of on the base of the crank arm. You've not got that little battery pot sitting on the end, which I have actually managed to wipe off the chain set on my training bike. As we drop down on the side of Valley Gardens and Valley Drive, nice fast section. That'd be a good time to mention the fact that it also comes in a Aero TT single ring option, and also selection of single ring gravel or just single-minded chainring options. So whatever your preference for cranks, this SRAM Red eTap AXS groupset has got it covered. The 4633 set up on here, but there's still plenty of poke right up to 50k and beyond from this gearing setup. But because I'm a local, I know I need to actually ditch a load of gears now, because although it's not flat out fast with these rubber manhole cover, rubber traffic islands still in place, you can swing through here and again up a little dancer climb back up and around the other side of Valley Gardens into the really posh part of Harrogate. If you're living up here, you're doing all right. And obviously, if you're even thinking about buying SRAM Red, you're doing all right as well, because there is a rim brake version as well as a disc brake version, but there's no cable version, so purely premium wireless configuration. But there is SRAM Force Axis, which delivers pretty much all the same functionality at a more affordable price for those of us who don't live in Dudley. So obviously you've watched my hands being busy shifting around on this lap. Quite a lot of work to do on gears. Completely wireless system, as I've said, but it now comes with its own app, which it communicates to with Bluetooth, so it's really easy to customise the shift patterns however you want. You just plug in the cassette size, chainring size, so it knows what numbers you're dealing with, and then it does the rest of the maths itself. And it does that maths because it offers a variety of changing options, as well as the conventional, you know, you're in charge, upshift on the right, downshift on the left, or I never know which way to call it. Let's just say harder gears on the right, easy gears on the left, and then simultaneous double tap for the front ring. You've also got the option of a fully sequential shift pattern, which is something that Shimano brought in first. It's definitely not unique to SRAM. So you just keep using the up or down shifters and it will decide where the next gear is in terms of sequential ratios. So that's a complete no-brainer gear answer. Or, which is kind of almost like a paddle shift option, semi-automatic but with a little bit of rider control as compensatory. So when you change at the front, it nudges up and down a couple of gears at the back, so the gaps aren't as big. And whatever mode you select, decide it's not for you halfway through the ride, you don't even have to get the app out. You can just, there's a little button on the back of this shifter lever here that you can press, and it just defaults it back to standard mode. You can switch left to right, you can switch right to left, you can add a dropper post, you can add time trial blip buttons, you can add buttons under the top of the bars for climbing on the tops. Do whatever you want with the configuration, but only you can do it as well. That's another key point, is the only way you can pair the app up is to actually physically press the button on the rear mech, and it'll only pair with one app at a time. So there's no chance that your shifting is going to be hijacked by somebody else, which you know, is one thing that people sometimes worry about with wireless. So there's loads of different bits of functionality you can go out on this, and the whole thing is just really, I mean, it's really Apple is the way I always think about it. You just turn it on, press a button on the rear mech. Basically the rear mech is the brain of the system, and it just all keys into that app, all talks to itself immediately, talks to GPSs, as long as it's a talkative GPS. I've had great results with Wahoo and Garmin on it. It just plugs in and starts chatting away with your, you know, your power meter settings, and there's all sorts of power, as you'd hope for wattage geeks. There's all sorts of power stats you can pull out of it, left-right balance, all that kind of thing. And SRAM are even working on a cumulative rev counter, so rather than just going off mileage, it's actually recording how many times you're turning the cranks, so you've got a better idea of actual chain wear rather than just kind of guess chain wear from mileage. And they're planning a whole load of kind of interactive, I guess, kind of maintenance features like that gradually moved into the system over time. No system's perfect. You might have seen the Bauke Mollema video. Trexo Goffredo riders was clearly having issues with his setup, but in 4 months on it, it hasn't glitched at all on me. And considering most problems I've had with other electric systems have always been down to the actual wiring looms and buggering about with them or problems with connections, the fact that this is totally wireless is definitely a bonus. And it actually communicates in 3 different ways between the different systems. So it communicates well. I've had 0 glitches. I mean, yes, it's bloody expensive, but it's no heavier. And like I say, it's just got like epic versatility. So I've used this on off-road. Like I say, it's mounted on this giant Defy. Came with some nice fat WTB tyres, so I chucked it straight into the gravel mix at Scott 100. Didn't skip a beat there. But you can mix it with MTB Eagle. You can even mix it with a reverb dropper post. And as we come under where the Flammeroos will be, one thing I've not had a chance to talk about is the braking. It's obviously really important on a course like Harrogate. That's really telling about how good it is. I mean, it's not changed much from previous Red. You got a slightly remodelled lever shape, and the hoods are a bit stickier. Well, that's pretty much it. Oh, and the rotors are now rounded and with a little bit of sort of a fin thing going on. I mean, they haven't got a big cooling area like the Shimano ones have, but you'll typically find people spec a larger rotor with SRAM anyway, like a 160 on the rear, whereas Shimano tend to go with a 140. So, and I've never had any issues with braking, and I've been running SRAM brakes on and off-road, cross, gravel for years now, and they've just been absolutely rock solid reliable. And unfortunately, tonight, I can't go up there, which is where the official finish line of the World Champs will be. If you want to see a full closed circuit or lap of the course, I did sneak onto the circuit while it was fully closed for the women of the Tour de Yorkshire, and I'll put that up there.
Unfortunately, as it's not the World Championships and I'm not a World Championship rider, I can't take it up the official finishing line, but hopefully this little lap of Harrogate World Championship circuit will have given you an idea of how I've got on with SRAM Red eTap AXS over the past 4 months. And so the bottom line question is, would I buy it if I had the money? And I have to say, it's an unequivocal yes. I mean, I think it's hard not to see wireless as the future of electronic group sets. The functionality is brilliant. I mean, I've been running it alongside Super Record EPS and Dura-Ace Di2, and in terms of shifting, they're very, very similar. But the real win is that extra gear range, the fact that you can now adapt it through the app, same as you could with Shimano. You've got that battery switch functionality, and the whole setup just feels so mature and so polished. It just works really, really well straight from the get-go, which is always a bonus with something that you've shelled premium money out for, but not always a given. I mean, just look at it as well. I mean, aesthetically, it's just such a beautiful setup. You've got that machine chainring up the front. You've got a really neat rear mech, and obviously wireless makes it neat, but the whole design of it, you haven't got that strange pole running through the centre of it like you have with Super Record EPS. But crowning glory has to be that chain. That flat top chain is just an absolute thing of beauty. And the fact that, like all the other features on this SRAM Red eTap AXS setup, that it also comes with a bunch of practical wins. It's such a complete future group set. It really is. I mean, I can't see how this isn't the way top end group sets are going to go from here. And of course, you're getting a lot of the same functionality in force. So that's my opinion anyway. Just to make it clear, SRAM haven't paid me to say any of that. They've lent me the bike for 4 months, which I really, really appreciate. It's been a fantastic bike to have around and to ride, like I say, anywhere from gravel through to Tour de Yorkshire Sportive and a whole load of other road riding in between. Thanks to you guys for watching. Please subscribe, click for notifications on the channel, and if you're feeling really supportive, have a look at my Patreon channel where there's a whole load of background chats, extended edits, early edits, all sorts of things going on there. So thanks for your time. Any questions, just get busy in the comments below. You've been watching GuyKesTV, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Cheers.